The airport was crowded that morning, but something felt off. A little girl walked quietly beside a woman, holding her hand, but her eyes, they didn't match the moment. She didn't smile, she didn't speak, she didn't even look around. And then, she did something no one noticed. She tapped her sleeve 3 times, a silent signal. No one reacted, no one understood, no one, except a police dog. And what that dog did next exposed something no one in that airport was ready for. Stay with us because this story will leave you speechless. Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The airport moved like a living machine, people rushing in every direction, announcements echoing above, luggage wheels clicking endlessly across the polished floor. And in the middle of all that noise stood Officer Daniel with his K-9 partner Rex, calmly scanning the crowd the way they had done hundreds of times before, because airports were unpredictable places where danger rarely looked like danger. And most of the time it hid behind ordinary faces, ordinary movements, ordinary stories. But Rex was never interested in what looked normal. He paid attention to what felt wrong. And that morning something did. Even before Daniel noticed it, Rex's body shifted, not dramatically but just enough, his ears rising slightly, his posture tightening, his gaze locking onto something ahead. Something small, something easy to miss, and when Daniel followed that line of sight, he saw her, a little girl walking beside a woman in a blue coat, holding her hand like any child would, blending perfectly into the crowd, but there was something off. Something that didn't sit right, because children in airports didn't walk like that. They didn't move in silence. They didn't keep their heads down like they were trying to disappear. And most importantly, they didn't avoid looking at everything around them. But this girl did, and Rex noticed it instantly. His breathing slowed, his muscles locked, and Daniel felt that familiar signal pass between them, the one that meant this wasn't random, this wasn't curiosity, this was instinct kicking in, and Rex had never been wrong before, so Daniel didn't ignore it. He stepped forward slightly, eyes focused now, watching more carefully as the woman continued walking, her grip on the girl's hand a little too firm, her posture a little too stiff, her awareness a little too controlled, like someone who was thinking too much about what was behind her instead of what was in front. And then something happened that most people would have missed entirely. The girl slowed down just slightly, just enough to shift her position, and her hand moved, not in panic, not in fear, but with intention. And then she tapped her sleeve, once, twice, 3 times, a small movement hidden in plain sight, something that looked meaningless to everyone else, but not to Rex. Because the moment her fingers made that 3rd tap, Rex froze completely. His ears snapped forward, his eyes sharpened, and a low growl began to build in his chest, the kind that didn't come from confusion but from recognition, like he understood something no human voice had said. And Daniel felt it instantly, that shift in energy, that silent warning that something was about to unfold. "Show me," he whispered, giving Rex permission, and that was all it took. Rex stepped forward, slow at first, controlled, focused entirely on the girl, not the crowd, not the noise, just her. And then suddenly he barked, sharp and loud, the sound cutting through the terminal like a blade. People stopped, conversations paused, heads turned, and the woman flinched just for a second. But it was enough, because that reaction wasn't normal, not for someone who had nothing to hide. And Daniel saw it clearly now. This wasn't just a routine moment, this was something else, something bigger, something dangerous. "Mom, can you stop for a moment?" he called out, his voice calm but firm, and the woman turned with a forced smile, the kind that didn't reach her eyes. "Is everything okay?" she asked, but her voice betrayed her, a slight tremble that Rex caught immediately, his growl deepening as he stepped closer, positioning himself between the girl and the woman without being told, protective, alert, ready. And that was when Daniel noticed the girl's face clearly, for the first time, not just fear, but hope. The kind of hope that only appears when someone believes they've finally been seen. And in that moment, everything clicked. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't random behavior. This was a signal, a deliberate, silent cry for help, and Rex had answered it. "Hey, you okay?" Daniel asked gently as he crouched slightly, trying not to scare her, and the girl didn't speak. But her eyes moved, just slightly, toward Daniel, then toward Rex, and then back again like she was confirming something, like she was making sure she had chosen the right moment, and then she did something that removed all doubt. She let go of the woman's hand, slowly, carefully, and stepped just a little closer to Rex, enough to break the illusion, enough to show the truth, and Rex reacted instantly, shifting his body fully in front of her, blocking the woman without aggression but with absolute certainty. And Daniel felt the situation change completely. This was no longer observation. This was intervention. "Do you know this woman?" he asked softly, and the girl hesitated, her lips trembling slightly, her eyes flicking toward the woman, then back to Daniel, and then she shook her head, a small movement, but powerful enough to silence everything around them. And in that exact moment Rex barked again, louder this time, more urgent, as if confirming what had just been revealed, and the woman's composure shattered, her smile disappeared, her posture tightened, and for a split-second panic flashed across her face before she turned and tried to walk away, fast, too fast, and Daniel reacted instantly. "Stop right there," he commanded, stepping forward as backup officers began moving in. And within seconds the situation escalated, the crowd pulled back, the noise shifted, and the truth began to surface. Because once the illusion broke, everything else followed, and the girl finally spoke, her voice small but clear. "She told me to stay quiet. She said no one would notice." And Daniel felt a cold weight settle in his chest, because she was almost right. No one had noticed, no one except Rex, and that single silent signal, those 3 small taps, had changed everything. And as the woman was detained and the situation unfolded, one thing became painfully clear. Sometimes danger doesn't shout, it doesn't run, it doesn't look obvious. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice, and sometimes the only one who does isn't even human.